Listen to me, because this is the reality check we didn't know we needed. If you thought the Sydney Swans were just going to stroll into the 2025 season with the best list in the comp, you need to stop right now and look at the numbers. The official list rankings from 1 to 18 are finally out, analysing every single line, defence, midfield and forward, and the results have just dropped a massive bomb on the competition. The experts have combined the stats, they've crunched the data on all three lines, and let me tell you, the team sitting at the top of the pile isn't who you might expect. This is a massive wake-up call for the Bloods.
Right, let's get stuck into how this actually worked, because it wasn't just a quick glance at the ladder or a gut feeling after a few beers. We went deeper. We put every single list under the microscope, dissecting the very DNA of how a footy club functions in the modern era. We moved past the wins and losses and focused on the structural integrity of every squad in the league. It came down to three non-negotiables, the three pillars that define a premiership threat: the defensive wall down back, the pure grunt of the engine room, and the clinical edge inside the forward 50. We're talking about the back six holding the line under fire, the mids winning the hard ball in the guts, and the blokes at the big sticks making every entry count. Every club was stacked up against the rest, ranked 1 to 18 in each of those three zones. It's a ruthless metric, and frankly, it's a bit of a reality check. You might have a superstar forward kicking bags, but if your midfielder's getting slaughtered and your defenders are constantly under siege, this system will find you out. There's no hiding behind a lucky run of form or a soft draw. This process strips away the hype and looks at how those groups actually combined and held up across the long haul of a season. We took those three distinct rankings, crunched the data, and fused them into one definitive power scale for 2025. It's the ultimate litmus test for a list manager. When you see the final breakdown, it hits you. The bar hasn't just been raised, it's been completely reset. The standard required to even be in the conversation for next year has gone through the roof. If there's a crack in the foundation, this list just exposed it for the whole world to see.
Now lean in, because this is the part where the reality of the situation needs to sink in for every single Swans supporter. We've spent the season talking about our balance, our poise and our system. We pride ourselves on being the well-rounded unit, right? But the data doesn't care about narratives, and right now the numbers are screaming a warning that we cannot afford to ignore. Take a look at the Brisbane Lions. They aren't just playing good footy, they've transformed into absolute statistical monsters. According to the latest deep dive analysis, they've locked down the #1 ranking for both the defensive unit and the engine room. Think about the sheer gravity of that for a second. To have the most dominant midfield in the country winning the hardball and the most impenetrable defensive wall waiting in the wings if you somehow manage to break through. It's a suffocating, terrifying combination. If you can't wrestle the pill away from them in the guts and you can't find a single crack in their backline, you aren't just playing a game, you're trapped in a stranglehold. But the threat isn't one-dimensional, and it isn't just coming from the Gabba. Look further down the list at the Western Bulldogs. They've had a season defined by the roller coaster. Moments of brilliance followed by stretches where they couldn't even find a spot in the top 8. Yet, despite that volatility, they have been officially crowned as the most lethal attacking force in the entire competition. They own the forward 50. So this is the landscape we are looking at. You have Brisbane bolting the doors and dominating the corridor, and you have the Dogs capable of outscoring anyone at a moment's notice. This is the ultimate wake-up call for Sydney. The goalposts have shifted. We are just competing against clever game plans or coaching tactics anymore. We are staring down the barrel of specialist lists that are peaking in the most critical zones of the ground. We are coming up against units that are rated #1 in the areas that decide premierships. The margin for error has just vanished. To truly grasp the sheer magnitude of this ranking, you have to start at the absolute basement, the floorboards. We're talking about the West Coast Eagles, a club that has been officially branded with the most unwanted title in the league, 18th. The wooden spooners of the 2025 list rankings. This isn't just a minor slump, it's a total statistical blackout across the board. The numbers don't just suggest a struggle, they scream it. They've been stamped as the worst in the competition, finishing dead last in both defensive transition and midfield contested ball. They were getting carved up through the corridor and had no answers when the pressure mounted. Their forward line barely fared any better, scraping into 17th, which, let's be honest, is just a different shade of rock bottom. They aren't just losing games, they are being outclassed in every fundamental metric of the modern game. They are buried deep in the trenches of a brutal, scorched earth rebuild. While there's a flicker of light in the form of Harley Reid, a genuine young gun who looks like he belongs in a different era of Eagles dominance, one generational talent can't hold up a collapsing structure. Andrew McQualter has stepped straight into the furnace, attempting to install a brand new system in his first year, but the teething issues have been more like a full-scale dental extraction. We're seeing players being shuffled into unfamiliar roles, learning a complex game plan on the fly while under fire, and the data reflects that lack of cohesion. But the reason we focus on this wreckage is to understand the chasm. The gap between the bottom of the ladder and the peak of the mountain is no longer a step, it's a canyon. While West Coast is struggling to find their feet and establish an identity, the heavyweights at the top, like Brisbane, are operating with a level of clinical precision that demands nothing short of perfection. The Eagles aren't just miles off the pace, they are currently occupying a different reality. The landscape of the AFL has shifted beneath our feet, and for the red and white, the air has grown thinner. The luxury of being the hunted is gone. The narrative has been rewritten by the cold, hard data of the off-season. We can no longer walk onto the SCG or any turf across this country expecting talent alone to carry the day. The spreadsheets and the scouts have spoken, and they've placed a target on a different back. If Brisbane holds the mantle for the number one midfield and the number one defence on paper, then our identity for 2025 is clear. We are the predators in the shadows. We are the hunters. This isn't just about a ladder position, it's a psychological pivot. We are heading into a season where being good is the baseline, but being clinical is the requirement. We are forced to prove that the intangible, the synergy, the blood culture, the selfless connection between 44 players is more potent than the raw, calculated stats of a rival. These rankings aren't just numbers, they are a direct provocation. They tell us that the standard has been raised, that the specialised roles within the engine room and the back six have become more sophisticated, more brutal, and more unforgiving than ever before. The benchmark isn't a ghost, it has a face, and it's wearing maroon, blue, and gold. It's a side that has fortified itself, becoming a statistical juggernaut across 2/3 of the ground. The history of where we finished last year is now irrelevant, a faded headline in a discarded paper. The only reality that matters now is the structural integrity of our list. The question that will haunt every training session and every recovery block is whether this group possesses the tactical violence and the collective will to dismantle a team rated as the absolute best. 2025 isn't about defending a reputation, it's about tearing down the one they've built.
I want to hear from you lot. Does this ranking scare you or does it fire you up? Can our midfield take down the so-called number one engine room of the Lions? This season is going to be an absolute war. Make sure you smash that like button if you back the Bloods to prove these rankings wrong, and subscribe to the channel because we are going to be tracking this battle every single week. The wake-up call has been delivered, now let's see how we answer. Catch you next time.